So we'll see how this goes. It's on the mobile, so it's streaming a lot easier. Just trying to get up my stream. Can you hear me loud and clear? Everyone's okay? Let me just make sure I'm in okay. Oh no, come on. I'm coming through. Yeah. All right, Lauren. Thanks, mate. Can you actually am I dropping out at all? If anyone can let me know. Just give me a thumbs up and then we'll get into it. I don't want to drop out. It's going to be relatively consistent. All right. Lost you. Yeah, okay. Let's change my settings. Well, let's give it a go and see how we go. I thought everything was working fine, but it seems to be that the actual stream, I don't know if it's my YouTube after all, um, or the actual connection, but connection seems fine. It's just dropping out. The speed is good. So I ended up finding out from last week that it was actually an Optus problem. Just wasn't enough data coming down or going up. Couldn't send enough, so it was really capping the way it worked. But that has been fine the last few days since we streamed on Tuesday. Now today, on my main computer, and it just drops out. So whether or not a couple of things open there and it just goes to the wall, or it's actually it should be good on my. Hopefully, it should be good on my laptop at the moment. We'll see. Right, I'm just checking. All right, guys, welcome. Let's just push on, see how we go. Welcome to TradeSetup, the live stream. It is the 13th of May, so kicking on okay. We've got the markets down. What are we down? 28 at the moment, but it opened down about 26 points, which again is a tough one to judge because it's more about what's happening over the weekend. And I think the only person making the money on the Monday morning is Trump. So I think he's spruiking his. Sorry, just seeing we're dropping in and out again still. All right, so yeah, I think he might be making a bit of money in this market when he's selling on the close of Friday and then buying back on the open on Monday after talking about stuff on the weekend. So what we'll do today, or what I want to go through today, is just about risk in this type of market. It is a tougher trading environment, and what I'm finding, a lot of our trades we got going, it's very thin, and it's thinned out a while ago. The market's thinned out. It's making the trades, which would normally kick on, just dying, and if they turn around on you because of what's happening, say on the open today and last week as well, um, it's making them get stopped out. The market pullbacks are sharper because there's just no volume in the way. So what we'll go through is we'll take a look at just entries, consistent entries, and maybe just adjusting your tactics. I know everyone trades differently. Everyone's got a different outlook on the market, and everyone enters and exits differently. But maybe just looking at, I'll go from my perspective and the way we're looking at the market and the way we're attacking it, and maybe I'm just taking opportunities when they're there to lock in gains where you'd normally let run, just locking some in the way the market's going at the moment. So we'll get over that. We'll take a look at now of just the ASX, where we're at, and what the US is doing. All right, let me just minimize that. So I've got to keep looking at this screen here. Where's the mouse? There we go. So the XJO, this is what's making it tough at the moment. I think. I mean, there's opportunities, but especially in this sort of market we've seen since, well, I guess, March or so, we had a really good run up. Started in 2019, good push up, and pretty much it really extended hard. A bit of consolidation through here and the 5,000 mark towards the end of Jan. I think it was end of Jan. Yep. Um, and then took off, consolidated a bit, and then started going in. But you can see as we're climbing up towards previous highs back around 63.50, the extensions weren't quite as hard, and it was just more of a grind market. You got this more, not really a complex correction, we'd say, but more of a controlled pullback. You got this little lower high coming into play, but it hadn't broken the anchor, and then we took off again. We built this inside higher level back in April. Just sticking that up. Back in April here, and then took off. And we just took out the highs, or the end of last month, took out the previous highs. What was that? I think that was around 63. When we're looking 63.73. So we took those up, traded probably a touch below 64. Did we get there? Oh, 63.90. Yeah, so 63.90 highs at the end of last month. So I did wash out those highs. So it's interesting to see now. I think this is what you just got to keep an eye on, because this could come into play on what's happening on the weekly. The fact that we just washed out the highs and didn't really continue, and we've had a bit of a pullback, a bit of a correction back down to that zone. Haven't taken out any key levels. So now that's the key. I think we've got to really got to take notice. You can see the sellers are coming pretty heavy into the ASX. The way we look at the stochastics from overbought to oversold, meaning that there's not much in the way of buyers to stand. Well, sorry, take that back. Bit of selling pressure coming in, but the buyers are soaking up on the way down. They're not letting it sort of free fall out of the market like we saw back here. Was it start of September? Really free fall. So there was not much volume in the way of that selling pressure when you went, say, from that sort of overbought territory down to oversold. Same as what we're doing here, except that pullback is, got a green day stuffed in there somewhere. A couple of red days, another pop up here, and then rejection down here the next day, and a couple of green days. So it is showing there is still some buying out there. There's still some buying willing to soak up that selling pressure. We haven't broken any key levels. Not really below 62. I wouldn't say it's a key level. The key level for me is way down at 61. This is an inside level. We're going to keep an eye on. I would expect that to hold up. If that breaks, then we've really got to we could be just into more of a prolonged correction if we're going to head higher. Otherwise, just going to roll over and tag 61 and go through 6100. If we get this inside level not holding, it becomes a bit stickier situation for the bulls. If that can't hold in here, just below 62, what do we got? 60, 61.70. G'day, Gino. So at the moment, if this level can hold up around 62.50, that trend is still up. And if we can just consolidate for a few more days, I think what people are going to see is the more, I think the traders are really cottoning onto the fact that all this talk, negativity into trade wars is more political from probably both sides. But as they're going through, there's still not much has changed. I know China backtracked on a couple of key, what they see as a couple of key things that not willing to give in, and they're sort of backtracking on that. That's why Trump came out, was it last Sunday, and said, okay, we're raising tariffs from 10% to 25%, and now potentially, so they did that on 100 billion. They've got another 300 billion up their sleeve to raise tariffs on us also. So that's in the pipelines now, and again, it's more posturing, I guess, to get something done, to get China to come to the table. China hasn't, I wouldn't say they've got as many bullets in their gun as what the US have. But then again, there's a lot of talk when every time they do something with tariffs to the US, it's not really costing China as much as it's costing businesses in the US, because those tariffs flow onto the business who gets pushed out to the customer base just in prices. So they've got to try to get it back somewhere. G'day, Pete. Late arrival. No worries, mate. There's a bit of a fluff at the start of the stream anyway. And it's still, just be wary, it could be dropping in and out. Stream data looks fine at the moment. Everything's going nicely. It seems to be getting to YouTube is a bit of an issue at the moment. I'd suggest YouTube is having the problem. But anyway, what do we got there? Let's just see that. That's all good. So yeah, what were we saying? We've got, let's not see. All right. Sorry guys, just looks like we dropped out there. All right. You'll probably drop back in. Okay, we're all good by the looks of it. So yeah, that trend up on the daily is still going well. Sorry, on the monthly is still going well. Drop it down to the weekly. Apart from the way that's savagely bounced back, that trend up on that weekly is still up. It's right up into this key resistance. So a lot of people are expecting something to happen here. But until we see it at the daily, you can't go and just sell against the market when the trend is up and it hasn't broken. We haven't seen anything like this. So, okay, keep bearing that in mind if you're looking to sell. The problem is, like we want to talk about, it's just a tough market. It's a tough gig to get. We just got stopped out of, say, VTG. Let's get on to that. Trading down at 152.5. Now we're stopped out about break even 155.5, 156. Now, we could have easily raised the stop here to 160, say 162.3 below these lows, but there was no particular reason to raise that. But in essence, I mean, technically, if you're buying through here, your stop's below here, and it didn't really change. The exit, you had to give it a bit of room. I mean, just remembering, so the way we attack things, and as most of you know, is just trying to let the trade open up, let it run. There's going to be times when, yeah, like we had that SPT trade a while ago, was what's going on here? Yeah, the SPT trade a while ago that we did close out and got lucky. I mean, that was great, but that was a different ball going up 100% when the market was really up on thin air, a lot of volume. You just know that was going to come crashing down sooner or later. And that was sort of a one-off trade where if they started coming out with some good news, then you could imagine those prices can be justified. But the higher it went with no news coming out and really they were doing nothing, the prices just did not justify where it was. So you got to take that into account as well. I know generally I don't look at the fundamentals as such, but you do want to see it have a bit of a story behind it. A good little story. So when you're buying into it, you're confident that this thing's going to kick on with it. So that, yeah, we got lucky with that exit, about 4, 5, 6% below the highs. I think it cracked around $2 mark. We got at 96.5, 196.5. But it worked against us on APT. APT at 190. Sorry, what was APT? Let me just see. No, that's not what I want. Back here. APT was stopped at, say, it was stopped at way back here. 19 something. I think about the $19 mark. And that was really, trying to tighten it up and look for an excuse to get out, thinking it was coming up into the highs at $20 when it roll over. So that sort of second guessing has kept us out of another, maybe say another $4 or $5 at the moment if you've been fair to ourselves, and we're going to put our stop below here and just try to let it ride, maybe ride, and there's really nowhere to raise the stop apart from that. But yeah, it'd still be in at 22. Nice wide stop in the second half, up another $3 or $4 on that trade if we didn't, second guess and get out. So there's, I guess what I'm trying to say is just get through is that you're still trying to stick to your plan, still trying to let the market, let the action play out, let your stops, raise your stops at the right time, because there's going to be some that, okay, are tentative like our VTG, it's kicked on, it's come crashing back down again. And there's others that have just are going to go against the street, and like APT just continues to drag higher. They're coming out with some good news. SPT has reversed. I think it's below $1 now, 97 or so cents. So that, in hindsight, that was good. But I think if you try to, as being a tougher market, if you try to second guess the exits, and pick a top, that's going to be the times when you're going to get out of that. And you only need one to kick on and not look back, like, this APT or like SPT to kick on, go up 100%. And is it really worth taking an extra few percent here and there? When, say, VTG, for example, if we did actually take a few percent, tighten it right up. We got stopped out. This one could turn around and go bang. We don't know just yet. But if this is going to hold from the weekly chart, I mean, the weekly chart still looks quite good. You see that sitting on top of the MAs here at 150. So if this is the low and we start to take off, we build a high low, we might have to get back in and have another go at it because that weekly trend is still intact. But if we just turn around and forget about it, say this didn't pull back quite as hard, it hit 165, stopped us out, and then took off again, or we just got out in this sort of mess back in April. We took ourselves out thinking that's a high, and it actually broke through 75, 175, took out 180, and just kept going. And then that weekly trend comes into play. You go to 2, you go through 2, and so on. So that's what you don't want to do. You still want to give yourself some room. You still want to concentrate on your I guess your strategy, and ours is to try to let it go, let it run. Of course, there's going to be times when we have been chipped out of a few lately, which is kind of irritating. And in hindsight, it would have been good to take some off the table. We missed this one probably about 3 or 4 cents from a partial, but still, that's the way you've really got to attack the market, I think, and continue to stick to your guns. But there is, like I said, there's going to be times when this sort of thing's retrace you on your GR Grange was probably a perfect example. Up here from 27, I think, in at 27 in this little spike, pulled back, high low, still holding nicely, ticked off to 33.45. You should have just cut it and run on half at least at that stage. But instead, it turned around and come all the way back down again, which you can't question why. You just got to get out. So we're out, I think, somewhere around the break-even mark as well, or 25.5 actually, from 27.5, 27. So yeah, that was still a case of this trend is up, still got to give it some room to move. Iron ore was going up. I mean, you look at FMG was doing well, MGX was doing well, a few others were doing well. This one just turned around and retraced quite hard. So it's just unfortunate. But for example, if we cut out of this one and the market just took off, if this just continued to go, holding higher lows, then we might be left there with, just leaving a lot of gains, a lot of profits on the table, which you don't want to do either. And that could be the one that really kicks off your results quite hard. So you don't need, every second trade to kick off hard and be on top of it. You only need one of every 20 trades or so to go hard, get that 100% trade or more or whatever you can. But those really big trades, you only need one or so out of a handful of trades is to really increase your stats and tick it along nicely. And then the other ones, all you're really concerned about is managing that risk consistently, whether you do it the same way. I mean, I don't know how everyone trades, but if you do it the same way as this, if you tighten up your risk when the market's getting a bit tentative, and you can see the market's getting a bit toppy up towards the 63 zone on the ASX, and we're happy to tighten the risks. There's going to be times we get chipped out, but fair play. We'll just keep ticking away the way we're going, because if it does roll over hard, we're out. We're cleaned up. We're out, and we're going to be beating the ASX quite easily, and then potentially looking for some shorts as well. Does that make sense, here, guys? All right, where are we? G'day, Shirley. How are you? Laurent. So that's the market is tough at the moment. I don't know if anyone else is finding it a bit tough. There is some that are ticking off. All right, it's just getting a bit low at the moment. Just checking that the stream's still ticking along okay. Yeah, so that's it. We've got a few on the cards, but I mean, look at this one. This is one. I don't know if anyone's following this. This is GNE. It's doing no volume. It's done nothing today. It's done, lack of a better, bugger all the last month. But that to me